What's up? This is certified graphic designer Christopher Michael Cooper from Sacred Imprint on This Life Is Not Pretend TV. Tonight we're going to be doing an interview for Sacred Imprint's music. The interview is going to be for exposed vocals. On this video I'm trying to teach all other musicians how to go about doing an interview if you are ever interviewed as a musician. Please check out sacredimprint.com and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's start this tutorial. Let's start this interview. Alright, first off, we're going to go to Microsoft Office Word. Let me double check. They said we could do the interview. It could be in a Word document. So I'm going to go ahead and start this interview with exposed vocals. This is Sacred Imprint's interview behind the scenes. So we're going to type in exposed vocals. So tell us your story, they said. Where did you grow up? Excuse me. What made you decide to become an artist? So we're going to go ahead and spell check that question so far, because spelling is very important in the music interview. It's key to doing this interview. Alright, exposed vocals asks, so tell us your story. Where did you grow up? What made you decide to become an artist? And I'm going to answer this question. I was born in Sun Valley, California, August 18th, 1988. Yes, I'm an 80s child. My parents divorced when I was 3, and I moved to Aurora, Colorado, and grew up in Aurora. My parents were straight up rockers into 1980s hair metal bands such as Motley Crue and Poison. Excuse me. Bear with me, I'm doing this whole interview, so this may be a long video, but stay tuned to This Life Is Not Pretend TV. You don't want to miss this. I was very interested in the 1980s hair metal bands because I always watched them on TV growing up. We'll go ahead and check the interview question, make sure I'm answering it properly. These bands is what inspired me to do music. So I answered the first interview question for exposed vocals. I am Sacred Imprint, certified graphic designer Christopher Michael Cooper. We're going to go and spell check the first set of questions. So the first question says, exposed vocals asks, so tell us your story. Where did you grow up? What made you decide to become an artist? And Sacred Imprint, which is me, answers, I was born in Sun Valley, California, August 18th, 1988. My parents divorced when I was 3 and I moved to Aurora, Colorado and grew up in Aurora. My parents were straight up rockers into 1980s hair metal bands such as Motley Crue and Poison. I was very interested in the 1980s hair metal bands because I always watched them on TV growing up. These bands is what inspired me to do music. And we're going to move on to the second question in the Sacred Emperor Exposed Vocals interview behind the scenes on This Life Is Not Pretend TV. Exposed Vocals asks, how did you come up with that name? What was your inspiration behind it? So I'm gonna answer this question truthfully. Me and Sacred Imprint's ex guitarist John Ladd were in a conversation one night when we were drinking. About spirituality, and I thought I seen a cross on my palm, and we decided to draw a palm with a cross on it, and because this was a spiritual moment, we brainstormed ideas and came up with Sacred we brainstormed ideas that were spiritual for a name and came up with Sacred Imprint, and we kept that name. So Exposed Vocals asked me, how did you come up with that name? What was your inspiration behind it? Sacred Imprint, I answer, me and Sacred Imprint's ex-guitarist John Ladd were in a conversation one night when we were drinking about spirituality, and I thought I'd seen a cross on my palm. And we decided to draw a palm with a cross on it, and because this was a spiritual moment, we brainstormed ideas that were spiritual for a name and came up with Sacred Imprint, and we kept that name. We're going to move on to the next question in this interview with Exposed Vocals and Sacred Imprint. Exposed Vocals asks, what do you think about online music sharing do you ever give away free? Do you ever give, excuse me, do you ever give your music away for free? And why? I'm going to answer this question for Sacred Imprint. This is going to be I'm going to put a little thought into this one. I think music sharing is great to get your name out there. I think music sharing is great to get your name out there. And I do walk the streets and give my album away for free, and I land Sacred Imprint a gig sometimes by doing this. Because music should always be about getting a message out and not be about money. So Exposed Vocals asked me, what do you think about online music sharing? Do you ever give your music away free? Why? And I answered with this following to this following question. I answered, I think music sharing is great to get your name out there, and I do walk the streets and give my album away for free, and I land Sacred Imprint a gig sometimes by doing this. Because music should always be about getting a message out and not be about money. We're going to move on to the next question in this interview with Exposed Vocals. I am Sacred Imprint. Exposed Vocals asked me, since everyone was a startup once, could you give any smaller or local band or artist looking to get gigs and airplay some tips? Since everyone was a startup once, can you give any smaller or local bands or artists some tips? So I'm going to answer this question. Yes, I can. Never pay to play. Never pay to play unless you have a strong passion for the music you play, because you will be playing music for a very low pay if you do this. It might be better to establish a relationship with venues and book them directly. So Exposed Vocals asked me, since everyone was a startup once, can you give any smaller or local bands or artists some tips? And Sacred Imprint says, yes, I can. Never pay to play unless you have a strong passion for the music you play, because you will be playing music for a very low pay if you do this. It might be better to establish a relationship with venues and book them directly. And we're going to move on to the next question with this interview with Exposed Vocals. I'm Sacred Imprint. On This Life Is Not Pretend TV. I'm just editing the last question. I realized I made a mistake. So I edited that last question. It was, sorry about that. It was Exposed Vocals asked me, since everyone was a startup once, can you give any smaller or local bands or artists looking to get gigs or airplay some tips? And Sacred Imprint, yes you can. Never pay to play unless you have a strong passion for the music you play, because you will be playing music for a very low pay if you do this. It might be better to establish a relationship with the venues or radio stations and book them directly and ask to guest appear on the local radio station's radio shows. I've actually done these things, that's why I'm answering in the interview to these questions like this. We're going to move on to the next question from Exposed Vocals. Where do you usually gather songwriting inspiration? What is your usual song writing process? Where do you usually gather your songwriting inspiration, and what is your usual songwriting process? Exposed Vocals asked me. I'm gonna go ahead and answer this. I usually gather my song writing inspiration from my past life experiences. Writing songs is an art to me. I write tons of sheets of lyrics every day and keep them in my fireproof safe, and when I am writing a new album, I pick lyrics I have already wrote and re-edit them to fit the music I create. Where do you usually gather your songwriting inspiration? What is your usual songwriting process? Exposed Vocals asked me, and I answered, I usually gather my songwriting inspiration from my past life experiences. Writing songs is an art to me. I write tons of sheets of lyrics every day and keep them in my fireproof safe, and when I am writing a new album, I pick lyrics I have already wrote and re-edit them to fit the music I create. So we're gonna go on to the next question in the Sacred Imprint Exposed Vocals interview. Exposed Vocals asks me, do you have a band website? What online platforms do you use to share your music? Exposed Vocals asked me, do I have a band website? What online platforms do you use to share your music? And I'm going to answer this. Yes, I have a band website, www.sacredimprint.com, and I use Reverbnation, Facebook, and Twitter to share my music. So Exposed Vocals asked me, do you have a band website? What online platforms do you use to share your music? I replied, Sacred Imprint. Yes, I have a band website, www.sacredimprint.com, and I use Reverbnation, Facebook, and Twitter to share my music online. We're going to move on to the next question in Sacred Imprint's interview with Exposed Vocals. Exposed Vocals asked me, if you were given $500,000 and a year off, what would you do? How would you spend it? I'm going to make sure I got this right, this question. To tell you the truth, if I was given $500,000 in a year off, um, I would have to buy myself a place to live, and I would have to give a little bit to charity because that's just what Sacred Imprint's all about. I couldn't keep it all. Sacred Imprint's about giving to others, so I would definitely have to give some to a charity. So I would buy a house and I would donate some of it to Above the Influence charity to help recovering addicts. We're going to move on to the next question in Sacred Imprint's interview with Exposed Vocals. How do you find ways to promote your music? What works best for you? I have to say on this one, the best way to promote my music I found out was by ordering some flyers from Club Flyers, as many as you can. I mean, by the box, order them. And I would order probably hundreds of flyers and walk the streets and pass them around and just talk to people and socialize and get out there and do shows. That's the best way I find to promote my music. It works for me. So Exposed Vocals asked me, how do you find ways to promote your music? What works best for you? And Sacred Imprint, I answer, I order boxes of flyers online and push them on the streets and socialize with people and get out there and do shows. That's the ways I find to promote my music that works best for me. Exposed Vocals asked me, so what's next? Any new upcoming projects that you want to talk about? And I'm gonna have to answer this as Sacred Imprint. What's next is the new upcoming album this winter. I'm excited about it. For Sacred Imprint, it's gonna be titled "Put the Needle Down," and I've already released the song "Put the Needle Down," the single on Reverbnation, and that's how I got this interview. So I'm really looking forward to this new album, "Put the Needle Down." It's gonna be awesome. I'm already getting some good response. I already got to do an interview on it, so yeah. So Exposed Vocals asked me, so what's next? Any new upcoming projects that you would like to talk about? And Sacred Imprint, I answer, Sacred Imprint is recording a new album this winter called Put the Needle Down. I already released the single Put the Needle Down on Reverbnation. So let's oops. So let's move to the next question in this interview with Sacred Imprint and Exposed Vocals. Exposed Vocals asked me, if you weren't making music, what would you be doing? If I wasn't making music, what I would be doing, because I'm a certified graphic designer, is a lot of graphic design work and art. So Exposed Vocals asked me, if you weren't making music, what would you be doing? And Sacred Imprint, I answered, I would be doing graphic design work because I am also a certified graphic designer. We're down to the last two questions in this interview with Exposed Vocals and Sacred Imprint. Exposed Vocals asked me, how do you juggle the rest of your responsibilities while trying to stay ahead in your music life? So Exposed Vocals asked me, Sacred Imprint, how do you juggle the rest of your responsibilities while trying to stay ahead in your music life? And I'm going to answer this truthfully. A lot of work and a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of staying up really late to get your work done. Because I am also a college student, I just stay up really late, get all my work done, get my homework done, and it's just a matter of juggling it so you could stay ahead. So Exposed Vocals asked me, how do you juggle the rest of your responsibilities while trying to stay ahead in your music life? Sacred Imprint, I answer, I am also a college student, so it takes a lot of work and staying up late every night and waking up every morning early, and I guess you just get good at juggling things the more you do it. We're on to the last question in this interview with Exposed Vocals. I am Sacred Imprint. This life is not pretend TV. What should fans look forward to in 2016? And what my fans could look forward to in 2016 from Sacred Imprint is a whole new album and a whole new game plan, because I'm going to be moving out of state in 2016 after I release my album, Put the Needle Down. And I'm going to be rocking the Detroit area when I get out to Michigan where I'm moving. So Sacred Imprint, I am also a college student. Alright, so Exposed Vocals asked me, sorry about that, I was reading the last question. Exposed Vocals asked me, what should fans look forward to in 2016 from Sacred Imprint? Sacred Imprint, I put new music from Sacred Imprint and more live shows in other states in Colorado. And that wraps it up for the Exposed Vocals Sacred Imprint interview. I'm going to spell check this whole document. So that does it for this video. I am Christopher Michael Cooper, certified graphic designer and indie major rock star, Sacred Imprint. This Life is Not Pretend TV. Please stay tuned to this channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please check out sacredimprint.com for more. Peace.